What is up, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of We Sibz, West Coast, East Coast siblings. You may be wondering where I am. Well, I'm back home from school, so this will be one of the places I shoot episodes.
Oh, sorry, I always forget. So today, you guys, we're going to be talking about extremely wicked, shockingly evil and vile. The Ted Bundy story.
Yeah, the Ted Bundy story. So we just want to kind of give our reactions, our thoughts, comments. This is obviously going to be one of those sensitive topics. A lot of people are still recovering from the trauma of the events. And so, but this is kind of introducing it to a new generation. Obviously using someone like Zac Efron to portray Ted Bundy. So Sid, what kind of were your reactions to the movie?
I had seen the documentary series, the Ted Bundy tapes on Netflix, so I knew, or I'd seen most of the documentary series, so I knew a good amount about the Ted Bundy story. So, but I had seen it a long time ago, so seeing this, it reminded me of some things. It surprised me because it wasn't the story that I was expecting. I was expecting to see someone who was extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile. And I didn't get that. I mean, Zac Efron's portrayal was great, but I think the story as a whole was more about how charming and charismatic Ted Bundy was. And you knew something was a little weird, but like, I feel like the story didn't really get into what it was that was weird.
Yeah, I think you make an interesting point. I think a lot of people wanted to see kind of the curtain pulled back so that we could see more of how evil this guy was, especially with the title that they chose to give it. But much of the movie, obviously spoilers if you haven't seen the movie, but much of the movie portrayed him exactly as we saw him in real life. Nobody really saw the underbelly of evil that he was capable of. We saw the charming, charismatic guy, someone who was likable, someone who really had fans, people who came to see him during the hearings. So
yeah, I would agree. And I think audiences, like, as far as their reaction would go, I think it's weird, like, because it's such a horrible story. And for the families of the victims to have to relive all of this is like a lot, I think. It's got to be really frustrating for them because this entire thing kind of ended 30 plus years ago.
So, well, let me ask you this. Do you think that there's ever a time like where it would be appropriate to do a movie like this? I mean, Hollywood's going to make a movie. It's like a big event.
True.
So
that's true. Yeah.
Do you think it was...
Yeah, I mean, I think... What?
Do you think it was too soon?
No, I don't think it was too soon. I mean, this happened a long time ago. But that doesn't make it any less difficult. I am glad that they made it because there are a lot of people like our age who didn't live through it, so didn't know much about it other than Ted Bundy's name. So I think it's good to kind of remind people of our history as Americans.
Right. Yeah, the historical value is, I think, valuable too. I think that's interesting, and I think they really thought about that during the casting because choosing Zac Efron, of course, he's going to have the charisma. But it makes you wonder, do you think this movie could go too far to the side of glorifying him, perhaps?
I don't know. In the documentary, he kind of did that to himself. Like, he was charming. He was very much a likable dude. So I think even back then...
But see, that's what I'm saying. Like, in hindsight, now that we know and he was convicted, do you think there's a obligation to show him in the light that he was convicted in? Like, that in the way that the conviction showed that he was?
No, I think it was truthful. I think if they did anything else, it wouldn't have been the truth. But I do think they should have showed more of the violence.
And do you think it's disingenuous to still choose to portray him as he portrayed himself?
Right. The truth was he was both.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, so I think the movie should have done both.
Yeah, I think they play too much to the charm. As far as casting, Zac Efron being chosen, this is kind of a big role for him. What do you think of it?
I think it was a good cast. I think he did a good job. I think, like you were saying, you said it was an opportunity for him to kind of show up and show off his acting chops, and I think he stepped up to the plate. What did you think?
Yeah, no, I think he did a great job. I'm still part of my mind always will see Zac Efron in the High School Musical way, but after 17 again, I saw some potential, and now seeing him in this, I really did think he did a great job with the role.
What did you think of Lily Collins as Liz?
I think she played a very type of stoic, almost emotionless role, and I think that's why they casted her. I'm not too sure if it was accurate to the character. I mean, we only saw what was on the news or what was portrayed in documentaries, but no, I think she did a good job. From what we saw, it was a very flat person. We didn't see too much. So at the same time, I think this was all Zac Efron's show. Like he was the centerpiece, and I think he did a good job. So
Yeah, I would agree. I think she did a good job. She played a good co-star. But I do think Zac Efron kind of showed up. She did too, but there wasn't much to her role other than being consumed by guilt and then internalizing it.
I also think she did a good job of showing how she was, tearing at the seams but trying to keep it all together, um, and dealing with that sense of guilt for feeling like if he was innocent, then it's her fault that he ended up getting convicted. Um, so that was a good. I think she did well with that. I think they missed a good opportunity, especially given Zac Efron's build and his physique, to show a little bit more of that, imposing or aggressive
Yeah.
side that Bundy had that people didn't really get to see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there could have been more opportunities for him to get angry or menacing, even if they weren't going to show the violence. But I think that's the thing too. I mean, Ted Bundy in real life was not that way.
If nothing else, just to
So
give the audience a little
he,
peek.
yeah, I guess he was, but we never saw it. Even like his, friends and family who knew him
Hmm.
never saw it.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they had a really good opportunity to play it kind of a Jekyll Hyde, and really show both sides. Hindsight is 2020, so now
Yeah.
knowing the things that he did after the conviction, um, it would have been cool to see them play at both sides, and it would have made Zac Efron's performance even greater if he had to kind of play that Jekyll Hyde. Yeah. So as far as the story, moving on from the casting, what did you think of like the pace of the movie? I thought it was a bit slow.
Yeah, I thought it was slow. I thought the beginning was slow, the middle was slow, the end was a little bit faster, like maybe medium slow. Um, I think
Yeah.
the last 30 minutes of it was the best in
Mm-hmm.
terms of like pacing and engaging the audience.
Mm.
I think what was weird though was because, or what made it feel slow is that the whole time you're watching it, you're waiting to see him do something
Yeah.
extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile, and
Exactly.
you don't see any of that
Yep.
until literally the last 30 minutes of the movie when he takes that crowbar.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, so I think that's what made it feel like it was dragging too, is that you're expecting something and you just never got it.
Yeah, I agree. I think there was this sense of anticipation because it's a killer movie. It's a movie based on a killer, so there's the anticipation of the scene where he actually kills somebody, and you never got that. And I think that may have contributed
Yeah.
to the whole thing feeling slow.
Yeah, I think it was a good story. I think that audience members who already knew what was going on, who had already lived through all of this, they didn't need the rest of it or what we were looking for in terms of engagement, in terms of a bit more speed and pacing because they lived it, so they knew a lot about it. But I think for people who didn't know anything about Ted Bundy, it did seem like there were a lot of holes um, in the story. Even for me, as someone who like seen the documentary and like known about it, um, I still felt like we were kind of missing something, but I don't know exactly what it was.
But I think at the same time, it worked for the character, and but I do get why it didn't release in theaters and why it went to Netflix. I think it's a better home for it. You have to be careful not to publicize it too much. Number one movie in America or whatever. Putting the commercials out to promote it. A lot of people aren't ready to deal with it, And but on Netflix, it's a place where people can go at their own time and at their own pace to go see it.
Zach and Lily Collins did really good performances. They were definitely worth watching for 1,000% sure. Jim Parsons did good for like the 15 minutes that he was in it. Yeah, I think it was a good movie overall. I think it's a good idea that it's on Netflix so that, you can watch it and come back to it or,
Yeah.
Go at your own pace.
Agreed. Yeah, guys. So anyway, that's our 2 cents on extremely. What is the name of it again?
Extremely wicked, shockingly evil, and vile.
Yeah, that's so hard to. Marketing must have had a hard time with that. Anyway, let us know what you guys think in the comments. Go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, click the bell so you can find out when we're putting out another video. And I guess we'll see you in the next one. Thanks.